the main event again. Race 2 for the Junior GP category, coming from round 4 of the FIM Junior GP World Championship here at the Circuito de Jerez, Ángel Nieto. 4.4 kilometers in length, 13 turns, and not that many long straights here, 607 meters being the longest one. 16 laps of action. We had a new winner in race 1, no spoilers of course. Will we see another in race 2? Stay tuned and find out. It's coming right now. An epic race day. We are nearly at the end of it, sadly. 4 races are about to be completed. This is race 4 of 5 today, race 2 of 2 for the Junior GP class. I'm Kiko Giles, and alongside me, Steve English. Steve, what a day of racing. This has been fantastic from the lights out.
Well, I know you said no spoilers, Kiko. We're about to get highlights of race 1. That's probably going to give the game away. Colin Vire was in sensational form to convert a pole position into his first ever race victory in Junior GP.
It was a very, very commanding victory in terms of attitude on circuit, in terms of being able to hold his own, but he did have to go until the last corner. It wasn't over until he crossed the line. It was a good old battle with championship leader Jose Antonio Rueda, and yes, why did I say no spoilers? Because we are going to have highlights of the race coming up very soon. As you can see in the highlights, you're going to see this in a moment, it was a lot cloudier earlier on. It is not that now. The sun is beating down on Jerez. It was only 22 degrees for these guys earlier. The track temperature is going to be right up. The sun has been cooking the tarmac all day long now since it's come out, particularly in the Moto2 race. The Moto2 boys as well going around and laying down the rubber. So this track surface should be very, very warm. Colin Vire, a first pole for the man in race number 1 of Junior GP, and he got the whole shot too, and he did go on to convert it. David Alonso was momentarily second. Championship leader Jose Antonio Rueda came through though, but it would be a big battle between him and Vire. They would continuously swap places. Well, second in the championship, number 38, David Salvador, would make his way into third. David Alonso, despite showing strongly in the opening part of this race, would eventually drop back. Despite going on the inside of Vire and Salvador, he couldn't make it work. Ángel Picares was one of the riders really coming through, along with Sharif and Aziman. And that would be your front 5 as Salvador was picking up his opposition. Vire going back to third, Rueda leading for the majority of the race. Picares was up inside the podium positions as half race distance approached. But it was Rueda who looked on course for a 4th consecutive win, but a mistake just a few laps to go put him back to third, but he just wouldn't take a line down. He's the championship leader for a reason. Salvador moved through into 2nd place, and in the end would have to be forced to wait, as you'll soon see. 5 abreast into turn 1. Colin Vire looking for a first win for the Netherlands and for himself. This was turn 11, a massive front end moment that resulted in game over for David Salvador. Thankfully, he did get up on his feet and he will be back for race 2. Colin Vire delivered the goods for the AGR team, have had luckless times in 2022 in other classes, but the number 95 shone brightly. 2nd place for championship leader Rueda, and will we see another battle similar to what we saw this morning in just a few moments' time?
Really exciting opening race of the day in the Junior GP class. Colin Vire able to claim that first race victory for the Dutch rider. It all went down to the wire on that last lap. David Salvador, the odd man out, unlucky for the number 38. He had come into that race 2nd in the championship. He's now got plenty of work to do as it continues to get hotter and hotter here in Jerez. But certainly keep an eye out for the number 38 of David Salvador from that 3rd row of the grid spot. He's going to be out there trying to make sure that he's going to get the opportunity to fight it out right at the front of the field. You can see now the field has made its way out onto the grid, and we're about 10 minutes until the start of the 16-lap race for the Moto3 class in the Junior GP paddock. Colin Vire on that pole position, and the Dutch rider was able to convert that into his first ever race victory in the Junior GP class. But he's a rider that's got a lot of experience in Red Bull Rookies Cup. He's been fast all the way through the season, and let's take the opportunity to get to know one of our Moto3 riders.
My name is Mohammad Sharifuddin bin Aziman, and I am 20 years old, and I'm from Malaysia. In Momelo, I was quite strong, and I feel much better because before start the round in Momelo, I get a wild card in Momelo also in World Championship. The second race was quite difficult also because many people from the back, like from the 10th position and coming to the front. So I'm trying to be safe and cool. And then last 5 laps, I say, this is too slow, and then I need to go. And then I go, and then I go alone in the front, and then I finish the second race in second position. I'm very happy that.
Aziman able to finish 4th in the opening race of this weekend's Moto3 running. He's also had some experience in the World Championship this season, racing in Portugal, Jerez, and also in Catalonia. So a rider that's certainly on the way up, just like this man, Colin Vire. You can see there, able to claim his first ever podium in the Junior GP class, able to take that first race victory. But he is a rider that's got a lot of experience in the Rookies Cup this season. We've seen him in the Rookies Cup Championship, able to battle it out with Jose Antonio Rueda at the top of the times all the way through the season. He's only 10 points behind in Rookies Cup action to Rueda. Obviously a bigger gap here in the Junior GP class. Rueda has been the dominant force all the way through this season so far, holding a pretty commanding championship lead coming into this round. But certainly on the basis of what we saw in this morning's race, he's going to be a rider under more and more pressure. He's going to line up second on the grid on the number 99 machine. It's been a really strong start to the season for him. 3 race victories already this campaign. Another podium this morning. You can see there every race inside the top 4 spots. It's that kind of consistency that always marks out the top riders in the Junior GP class. If you look back over the years, your Acostas, Guevaras in recent years, they were always consistently able to be at the front of the field. Same with Danny Holgado last year as well. So once you're able to do that, you give yourself a real chance of being able to make sure that you're always able to scrap it out and keep yourself in title contention. And the same would be the case for Filippo Farioli. In the cooler temperatures this morning, he wasn't as strong as I expected him to be, certainly. But for Farioli, still able to come away with a top 5 finish after that Salvador crash on the last lap. That keeps his run of form going. That's 4 consecutive top 5 finishes for the Aspar junior rider.
Very good stuff indeed, Steve. I mean, Farioli, 5th place today in race 1. It wasn't quite as convincing as the result maybe makes it out to be, but he was right there. I've just nipped out the commentary box just a moment ago. It is warmer. It's getting up there now, considering where we've come from today. It was very, very not cool, but cooler compared to where we'd been. This is David Alonso, 4th on the grid, only 7th in race 1, so a disappointment.
Yeah, Alonso's been a little bit cooler than he has been as well of late, and certainly in the opening race of the weekend, he was 13 seconds adrift of the race winner, so that's almost a second a lap he was giving up. He was in the 3rd group as well, so certainly for Alonso, a lot of ground to make up today in this final race of the day for the Junior GP class. But he is a rider that we know exactly what he can do from his time in the European Talent Cup.
He is one of the riders to watch. So is this Sharif Aziman, the Malaysian on the Honda, 20 years of age. 2nd podium came at Catalonia this season. He was just missed out on the podium in race 1.
I think it's quite good that we've seen 4 races in a row where he's been really strong, and actually Valencia as well, the opening race there where he finished 7th. He was actually up in the leading group there as well, so that's good to see from Aziman. I already mentioned about his Moto3 World Championship experience this season. That's what he needs to do. He needs to keep building all the way through. He is older than a lot of the other riders out there, but the Malaysian riders, a lot like British riders, come to maturity a little bit later. They start racing a lot later than a lot of the Spanish riders.
Absolutely, so true. One of the Spanish riders to watch on here is Ángel Picares. Now, he did take a podium earlier on today. It was his first one since race 2 of the season, as you can see on the graphic at the bottom of your screen there. He's 3rd in the championship now, following 16 points in race 1.
Yeah, and you can see there another good run of top 5 finishes for another rider. He's been a race winner in the Red Bull Rookies Cup this season at Sachsenring, so he's been riding well this year. But certainly for Picares, I think there was an expectation that maybe he would have been fighting it for maybe podiums and race wins more so than just being in that lead group. But obviously we saw in this morning's race able to come away with a 3rd place finish. He'll be hoping to go a little bit better in this afternoon's race.
As will this man. David Salvador heads off row 3. He starts 7th, and what a disaster it was earlier. His first DNF of the season, crashing out 2nd, Steve.
Yeah, and certainly coming into this race, he had been trailing Rueda by a lot of points. I think it was 39 points going into that race. Rueda's obviously picked up another 20. So for Salvador, it's now just about trying to salvage the season, really, and try and get himself those race victories that he's been looking for so long. He's a lot of experience in this class.
More experience than almost anyone else on the grid, really. Salvador has been round here now in this category it's so many seasons, and he's still missing. He hasn't always had the machinery. He was on the TM last year, the factory TM. They're not here this year, but he's still pushing on the Husqvarna. Colin Vire sitting well on pole position. Will he do the double? Double Dutch, anyone? A race 1 to remember, a race 2 in prospect. Colin Vire took a first victory of his career in this category earlier on today. Will he do it again? Jose Antonio Rueda extended his championship lead. He'll go from 2nd once more. And Filippo Farioli, slightly disappointing maybe one could say in race 1. He'll be aiming for a podium, if maybe not a charge to victory. Kiko Giles here and Steve English alongside me. We're bringing you coverage of the 4th race of the day here at the Junior GP Round 4 of 2022. If you've missed any of the action, be sure to catch up on it on our social media platforms and on YouTube, where the full races can be found in the next few days. But of course, if you've missed any action, why have you missed any action? Steve, what a day it has been.
Yeah, we've had 3 new winners in the opening 3 races of the day, and certainly we've got an opportunity to add to that list as well. David Salvador was right at the front of the field before a crash, only a couple of corners from home, so expect to see the number 38 from the 3rd row of the grid right up there once again. Filippo Farioli from the front row of the grid, disappointed in the opening race, and we got one rider that stalled in the midfield there on the grid, so we'll wait and catch an eye on who that actually is.
Someone towards the back of the order still can't quite work it out from the leathers, is it? And looking at the back, Hamada. Now, Hamada had a crash earlier today. The number 72 starts 23rd. Obviously, he'll be going from pit lane, I imagine, unless they let him out onto the warm-up lap, because if they've got the bike started, maybe they can. But he crashed earlier today. And this is a point I want to talk about, Steve, on the warm-up laps. These guys go around. The track these are like polar apart now. We had a cooler race earlier, and now it's getting up again. So how much is that going to be playing on in their minds? And what does it feel? What will they be feeling?
Well, what was interesting during the course of free practice was we saw quite a few teams actually take their riders into pit lane, leave them sitting there for 30, 45 seconds, just to try and simulate the start of the race as well, to get them used to what that feels like, to get them used to what the bike's going to be like as well. But, you know, well over 38 degrees, 39 degrees track temperature there. So it is getting up at this stage. It was only around about 25 for this morning's warm-up session, and now it is starting to heat up. Once you get into around about 44, 45 degrees here at Jerez, it is very tricky and very slick out there for the riders. It is getting hotter and hotter, but this is probably about as good as the conditions can be whenever you touch into the middle of July here in southern Spain. Certainly, if you think back to the COVID-hit 2020 MotoGP World Championship season, we came here to Jerez in the middle of the summer, and it was absolutely big, and it was proper frying pan in the south of Spain. And certainly these conditions are a lot nicer for the riders, but they're still going to be very unpleasant by the end of this race.
Really are. I got off the flight in Sevilla on Friday evening, and it was so warm. It was like going out to Asia and just the wall of heat when you step off the plane. It was so warm. Saw there the championship standings. Jose Antonio Rueda will lead after this race no matter what happens. He's 53 points clear, but interestingly only 4 points cover 2nd to 4th. So that is an interesting factor. It's close in the battle for 2nd. Will they work together and try and reel in Rueda? Steve, every race I've asked for predictions. What are we thinking this time?
I've been pretty bad on most of them as well. Well, in the Moto3 class, I was pretty bad with Farioli. So I'll just double down on Farioli, see if he's able to make a step. But certainly what we saw in the opening races, keep an eye out for David Salvador from the 3rd row of the grid. Vire, Rueda, Picares, that was your podium finishers from the opening race of the day. David Alonso, you see there on the number 80 from the 2nd row of the grid. He really needs a lot more in this race than he had in the morning one. Maybe the warmer temperatures are going to suit him and his Aspar teammate a little bit more.
Here we go then, Junior GP, race 2, who will it be? Red lights on, red lights out, good start from everyone on the front row. Farioli goes a little bit backwards though, and Vire gets a great launch. He's away and running, Picares is up the inside, Alonso comes through to second, but nobody can touch Colin Vire, who goes through. He won race 1 from pole, he's got the whole shot for a second time of asking, and that's Bouazri who's come through. Bouazri's up to about 6th place from the third row of the grid. Good start from the Thai rider, everyone safely through. Rueda back to third momentarily, but straight up into second. Vire's leading.
Yeah, Bouazri was only able to come away with a 13th place finish in the opening race of the day, so he's got a lot of ground to make up at this stage. We saw a lot of riders running out wide there through turn 4.
Everyone through cleanly, a couple of riders wide at turn 5 as well, but Vire's leading them down the back straight. Alonso has got Picares and Rueda for company. Aziman's there as well. Salvador through up into 5th from 7th on the grid. But at the moment, it's your race 1 winner who leads us through on the exit of turn 6. Blasting now, turning left towards turn 7. Through here, Rueda, we saw when we walked the track yesterday, Steve, we can pass here.
Oh, crash on the back.
Someone's down in the back. That looks to me, it could be Almanza. If not, it's the teammate.
I think it's Rueda. I think it's Marcus Rueda.
Marcus Rueda, who's gone down. A disaster. So that's his day done. He won't be rejoining there. Turns. Oh, and he's tangled with one of the Cuna de Campeones. That's not Cruces. That'll be the other one.
Detweiler, I think.
That's Detweiler. So the Swiss rider has gone down as well. You don't want 2 crashes down there. That's fast. Through the final sector then, Rueda has worked his way to the front, but we saw in race 1 that him and Vire will go head to head no matter what part of the race we're on. Picares, oh, nearly on the inside of Salvador.
This is where it's really important for these leading riders to stick together as well. We saw in the opening race that it did stretch out quite quickly for the top 6-7 riders. If you're the likes of Bouazri there on the 33, Harrison Voigt on the 29, you've got to stay in this lead group for as long as possible.
This as well, in terms of the rest of the races we've seen this year, is probably the nearest in terms of temperature. We had the coolest race of the year earlier on. Temperature does make a difference. That is Rueda. Great spot, Steve, there. The number 6 and 9 out at turn 7. So let's see. I think it was going to be a collision for sure, but how far around, we don't know. It looked fairly early on in the corner. But this is the hottest, the race with the most similarities in terms of conditions. All the races this year for this grid have been relatively warm. Estoril started the season, Valencia was race 2 and Barcelona was race 3. And all those races were very, very warm indeed. Rueda's leading Vire. Vire's good on the brakes. So, oh, Salvador, moment on the front, but he gets it stopped on Aziman. That's for 4th.
Yeah, good move from Salvador there. Able to collect it quite well in the run into 6. He knows that he has to make sure he's able to pick up big points today. Still chasing his first win in the Junior GP class, but certainly a rider that can win races in this class.
Rueda leading the way at the moment. Is he starting to just stretch the field a little bit? Vire won't want that. Vire's looking at trying to double up a little bit here. He got race 1. Whoa, big moment. That was David Almanza, I think, in the middle of the shot. Almanza, and he almost got rear-ended by Farioli. Farioli's going to look on the inside at turn 11, can't do it, but Almanza was out the seat. The track is a bit slippy. And, oh, it is slippy, because that's the 34. That's Aditama. RB Aditama has gone. That is a disaster for RB Aditama. It's down at turn 9, I think. Turn 9, a crashing hotspot, Steve.
Yeah, turn 9 in the stadium complex. Easy to lose the front through there, and there's a little bit of a slight climb into there, and it can just unsettle the bike a little bit off camber. But certainly at the front of the field, you're starting to see exactly what we expected to see coming into this weekend. The 99 of Rueda out in front. It's now a question of whether or not any of these guys are able to go with them. You're already starting to see the top 6 stretch out a little bit.
Massive moment there. That was out a second for Vire. Colin Vire got the rear end lit up there. Adrian Cruces, the number 11, who's just set the first lap of the race, he's just gone on the green as well. But that moment for Vire has really split this lead in pack up, and Rueda has now got 9/10 of a second advantage over his chasing pack. I was just going to ask you, Steve, if you're Colin Vire there, you're just behind Rueda, what are you doing? Are you following, or is it just about trying to get ahead of him if you can?
Well, I think for Vire and for all these riders, they know what Rueda can do when he hits the front and he's got the momentum behind him. He's able to open up a gap, he's able to stretch away from everyone else and take advantage of them fighting with one another. As it is, the gap's a second now between Rueda on the 99 and David Alonso on the number 80. So this is the moment where they need to settle themselves down and just try and close on to the back of Rueda. But that's going to be really tough to do whenever you've got a big group like this.
Yeah, these guys are going to be knocking spots off each other at various points in this race. Alonso didn't impress many of us in the first outing. He started 4th and went backwards. He was finished 7th in the end. There's a couple of crashes late on, but Alonso looking good here for 2nd. But I'm not sure whether he's going to be catching Jose Antonio Rueda. Rueda now, of course, got that track limits warning in race 1, but he's not riding in a group. He doesn't have to push like he did earlier on. Aziman looking on the inside of Salvador. That's at turn 13. The Jorge Lorenzo turn didn't get it done, but Rueda's scampering clear, Steve.
Yeah, Rueda this time around is a 46.7. That's a full second faster than Alonso chasing him. Picares was a few tenths of a second faster than Alonso though, but needs to clear him and then needs to try and see if he's able to close up on his teammate. But as it is, the gap's 1.3 seconds, which in the Moto 3 class is a really difficult amount of time to make up. So right now for Rueda, as long as he's mistake free, he might well be already out of touching distance.
Let's see how it goes. Of course, we've got a long race ahead of us here. 13 laps are remaining in this 16-lap encounter. That's on screen there. The 38th David Salvador crashed out of race 1. Big time. Ooh, out on the dear me, so far out on the green, he was over some gravel. That was Jose Antonio Rueda. Wouldn't want to be doing that too much, Steve.
No, you got to make sure that you're keeping it between the white lines, and for Rueda, it's just a sign of just how hard he's pushing as well. David Salvador down the inside into P3, and the number 38, is he going to have the pace? We saw in the opening race of the day that he was very strong, very fast, able to make his way to the front of that group in race 1. Now he needs to do the same in this one to see if he's able to be the rider that could maybe pull this train back up towards Rueda. But 1.6 seconds means they've already lost another 0.3 of a second on this lap.
Yeah, these guys jockeying for position. It's not going to be easy for them to reel in Rueda. As it stands, it is Picares in 2nd, so it's a Team Estrella Galicia 0012. Picares has really taken to this Junior GP category like a duck to water. He's been absolutely in fine form. Got the podium earlier on today. He's out on the blue there, though, exceeding track limits. Don't do that too many times. Aziman's coming through for Salvador, and through on the inside, that's Almanza looking at Cruces, who are just ahead of, that looked to me like Farioli, but maybe someone else. It is the Lanetta. It's Luca Lanetta on the 58. That's who I thought was that he's having a good race. Lanetta didn't feature too well in race 1, but he's right up there in race 2 in the battle for 2nd. Picares in 2nd, though, Steve.
Yeah, Picares up in 2nd, but the race leader Rueda, he has checked out now, so the race is run at this stage as long as Rueda keeps it on the racetrack, and it's now a case of fighting it out for the other 2 spots on the podium. And like you said, Lunetta with a really good effort here at the start of this race on the 58. He's the black and yellow bike there at the top of the shot, but now the big question is, can he continue to make progress? Because the likes of Almanza in front of him, Cruces we've seen on the number 11 machine have some really strong laps already at this stage. So it's going to be difficult for him to make too much more progress. But if you're able to stay in this group, you give yourself a chance. With
12 laps to go, and even though these guys are battling, and like I say, there's still a fair chunk of this race to go, do these guys believe that they can't catch Rueda now? Has he scampered clear and that's that?
Yeah, well, we can't catch him. 2.5 seconds is too much time to make up whenever you're going to be fighting with one another. So they know that they've effectively made this into a battle now for 2nd spot. Picares has just been given a track limits warning as well on the number 18 machine, so keep an eye out for him. We've seen quite a few riders exceeding track limits already in this group, especially through the penultimate corner. They're going to come through the fast right-handers now in a couple of moments' time. Keep an eye on the green paint and the blue paint around this track, especially around the next corner is where we've seen a lot of riders exceed.
Yeah, and Picares was out there again already, so he's done it once. We almost done it again. Farioli was definitely out wide as well, so there'll be more track limits warnings coming their way as these lot knock spots off each other. They're getting their elbows out. Alonso's trying to break clear. Via's going with him, but Picares, Salvador, Aziman, Harrison Voigt there on the 29, Adrian Cruz says on the 11, 58 of Lunetta. Look at this gaggle down into turn 1. The lead is 3.4 for Jose Antonio Rueda. He doesn't even need to try and go faster. He automatically is, because these guys just haven't got track position and they're battling out with one another.
Yeah, they're just costing each other too much time to be able to do anything about Rueda, but they know that Rueda's gone. So at this stage, it is just a case of track position being the key. And in this 16-lap race, that's what they're going to be fighting it out now for. And that's where Colin Vire actually looks quite good. Salvador looks very strong in the brakes into turn 6, into the last corner as well.
With Alonso in 2nd, is Alonso trying to stretch the pace out to get him and and Via, race 1 winner, and also Salvador out on a group on their own, so they're away from the main peloton, say.
He can try it.
Will he succeed?
I don't think so, because this group just doesn't seem like it's got that speed to be able to break away from each other. Obviously, it's going to fracture in the next few laps where you might get it where there's 5-6 riders in there. Adrian Cruces on the number 11 machine. He's made a big step forward compared to this morning. He's going to be worth keeping an eye on all the way through this one. Cruces, he finished 8th in the opening race of the day, but he was, I think, around about 13, 14 seconds behind the race winner. He's now made a big step to get closer to these guys.
Track limits warning for Cruces. He's making too many big steps, I think, in this race too, but he's definitely in the leading group, and he looks like more like we've seen him earlier on in the season. He didn't have a great round in Catalonia as he gets the old Leon Haslam chicken legs going there into the final corner. That's the rider we're talking about. Number 11, Adrian Cruces, he kind of was off the boil a bit in Barcelona, but he's come back to how we saw him in the race-winning contention back at Estoril, and he's looking good. He's in that group, he's in the podium battle. Colin Via up into second as Aziman has a look at Salvador, but they can't quite get through. 10 laps to go. There's a long, long way to go in this one yet, Steve.
Yeah, it really is a long race here in the heat like this, so certainly for these riders, they'll know that it's about trying to make sure that they're not hung out to dry at this stage. So being able to make sure that you're able to stay in those leading positions means that for the likes of Colin Via on the 95, Angel Picares, David Alonso on the number 80, they've got to make sure that they stay at the front of this group. That's where the likes of Salvador as well on the 38's done a good job in this one. Any time that it looks like people are trying to get themselves to the front of the group, the 38's been able to follow them through as well, so he's been riding really well.
And there's the other aspects of this as well. In 9th place, Filippo Farioli, Via goes a bit wide and opens the door for Alonso, but Filippo Farioli in 9th place, if he can get up towards the top 3 or 4, could start working with Alonso. Teammates, of course, trying to break clear.
I think it'd be optimistic to think like that at this stage, just because the group is so big that it's a real challenge to try and get yourself to the top of it. But as it is, you can see that the pace isn't very high. You can tell that because there's so many riders, 3-4 abreast there in the run into the stadium section.
Oh.
That's one of the...
Is that Aziman?
Monday bike's gone off. It might be Aziman. It is Aziman.
Aziman's gone off then at turn 9. That was a bit of pushing and shoving. Started by Lanetta. He came actually to... Oh dear, that's Adrian Cruces. That's why Aziman went wide, because Cruces obviously tucked the front. He's getting a bit of help going again. But Adrian Cruces, that is a disaster. We would commentator's curse. We said he made the step, and he stepped too fast. So that'll be a front ender at turn 9, Steve.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. We'll wait and see if we get a replay of it. You can see Lunetta there on the 58 able to hit the front of this group, so taking advantage of all the scrapping that's going on. Whenever there's so many bikes, this, 3-4 bikes wide on the run in towards turn 1, that does tend to mean that the pace isn't hot at all from them, and that's why the gap's already 6 seconds now to the race leader. So they're just focusing on one another rather than on actually being able to ride their best lines and set the fast times right now.
Luca Lanetta is 3rd from 30th on the grid. Where has he come from? He must have had a problem or something. Long lap penalty for Picares. That's a long lap penalty. It's the first one we've seen in this class all day. Angel Picares has taken liberties too many times. He'll have to do a long lap. He'll get 3 laps to do that in, Steve. What's the procedure about that?
He needs to take it as quick as possible, because this group is going to keep battling with one another, costing themselves time. So for Picares, if he takes it at the end of this lap, he might be able to limit the time loss that he's going to have and then still give himself 8 laps to latch onto the back of them. There's still a podium to be had from him.
Long lap penalty introduced in for 2020 in the MotoGP World Championship. It's used instead of a ride-through, say, a ride-through a bit draconian for motorcycle racing. So a long lap penalty, you'll have to do it once. It's not a jump start, so he doesn't have to do it twice. Only once. Take the long loop. We'll tell you when we get there. And that's at turn 13, coming up very soon. But Filippo Farioli has worked his way to the front, now ahead of Colin Via, David Salvador in 4th, and Luca Nanetta from 30th on the grid.
Oh, Farioli was out over the curb, and that's what caused that bike just to get unsettled there as he came back. We'll see Picares there. This is where the long lap penalty is. You can see he was trying to make a move down the inside. He doesn't know he has the penalty yet. He'll get a notice on his pit board to tell him that he has to make that long lap penalty. He'll take it next time around, you'd imagine.
29 of Harrison Voigt also has track limits warning. He's not the last one in this group. He's the one in front of the 33, number 29, the white bike. There in your picture, he's got a track limits warning. Now, Jose Antonio Rueda was on track limits there as well, and so was his teammate Angel Picares. Picares getting the penalty. just, well, 7 seconds is the gap, so if Rueda got a penalty, that doesn't come into effect.
Yeah, it's not going to make a big impact for him. It's actually quite a fast long lap penalty here, and it also means that you shoot back onto the racing line, so you're not really able to lose all that much time through it, but certainly you don't want to give up any of that time right now. But there's a lot of riders being given the warnings now for track limits, and we're only just coming up towards half distance.
We've seen a few riders throughout the course of the day use the blue down the straight. I'm not sure whether that's actually being counted as track limits. It should be, of course, because it is the other side of the white line. But the race directors tend to only look at corners. That's how I'm seeing it so far today. Of course, I could be wrong. I probably am. But back at the front, or in front of this group, Farioli's second. Much better ride from Farioli, Steve. Didn't look at one with the bike earlier. The bits we saw, he wasn't in the leading group, but he looks good now. Yeah,
he looks a lot more competitive in this race in the higher track temperatures, and let's be honest as well, the cooler pace that's being run. They're down into the low 48s, high 47s at this stage, which is well off the pace of what these bikes are capable of, around about a second and a half slower than with their outright pace. So that just shows you that the battle isn't quite as intense, even if it looks very intense right now, but the pace isn't as hot as it can be.
Luca Lanetta going through up the inside, that's for the top 5. Angel Picares serves his long lap penalty. That was just about ended his podium hopes, you would imagine. 7 laps to go. Ooh, up the inside, Almanza, 2 in 1. Yellow flags at turn 13. Why are they out? So we will check on that in a moment. Almanza up into the top 5. Lanetta, the number 58, trying to get back through. Can't quite do it. He's ahead of David Alonso. Filippo Farioli, though, the number 7 on the Aspar Gas junior team machine, is starting just to edge clear. And he's been at the front of this group for a couple of laps now. Boisri looking on the inside at David Alonso. Can't quite make work, but Boisri, again, another rider having a much better race too.
Yeah, and certainly there's a lot of riders have made that big step forward. Very different track conditions. That does seem like it's helped an awful lot of them. Just seeing that there's those few crashers out as well. It looks like Morossi is one of them. That's down at turn 12, it looks like.
Yeah, disaster. That's fast through there, turn 12. It's the right-hander before the final corner. Oh, Jacob Rulston's gone as well. Now, where is that at? Or is that just an incorrect graphic?
No, I think it is Rulston as well. That could be at the last corner, it looks like, potentially for him.
Rulston then with a disaster here in Jerez. He didn't score any points in the first race, and he hasn't got any in the second one because he's on the deck. But at the front, the battle is still fierce, and now it's Vaya who's leading this group for second. We've got 7 laps to go. Farioli just tuck it in there in third. Salvador, there is a gas bike. That'll be Morossi, yeah. That's not David Alonso. Here we go. Oh dear. This is going to be fun. Oh my giddy aunt. That is enormous.
Yeah, Morossi very lucky with that one if he's able to walk away from it, because you can see there Ralston was collected in that as well. And that's a big instant through there. It's a very fast corner.
That is really fast. The right-handers here at Jerez, we don't see too many at turns 1. I remember Marc Marquez in a 1-2-5 race, high-sided out of there on the opening lap in 2010, I think it was. But we normally see some crashes at turn 11, the one before, but turn 12 catching out a couple of riders. Harrison Voigt was wide. There was a bit of contact there as well with Boisri and David Alonso. Alonso drifting back now again.
Yeah, and the yellow flags have been taken in, so hopefully that means that both riders up and all right after that one at those fast right-handers at the end of the lap. You can see Almanza here as well on the 22 machine doing a really good job to be able to keep them honest. It looks like Lanetta might have just ran himself a little bit wide through there, cost himself some time.
Just behind this group, Brickwatch, Eddie O'Shea is in 11th place, and he's actually in the top of the screen. He's the white bike, he's number 31, having a good ride, and these guys tripping each other up. There he is, the back shot. These guys tripping each other up. He's going to be ever so slightly catch up. 47.8 last time for O'Shea and a 48.4 for Harrison Voigt ahead of him.
Yeah, he's got a couple of seconds to make up, and for O'Shea, it is all about just time trialing himself up too. As you can see there, he's got a couple of riders behind him. It looks like it was Daniel Sharif and also Nico Carrera as well, the Italian rider that's been dominant so far in the Italian Championship this year. But certainly out in this group, the pace is starting to drop down again a little bit. Some of the riders get themselves down into the 47s. They're trying to push on a little little bit just to try and splinter this group a little. But as it is, you can see that it really is still a close group here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bikes in it, and it's going to be a case of who's able just to give themselves the opportunities to make the moves now that we move into the final third of the race.
In case you're just joining us, we've got 5 laps to go of race 2 in Junior GP, and this is your race leader, Jose Antonio Rueda. Done a bit of Moto 3 World Championship experience earlier in the year. That's obviously helping him as well. Winner of many of the races this year. He's by far and away the championship leader. He will extend that championship lead to over 60 points if things stay the same as they are now. So Jose Antonio Rueda in a class of his own, and postcode of his own actually. He's so far up the road, he's nearly 10 seconds, 9.6. I can't remember so many races where Antonio Rueda has just been able to ease away. He's got the length of the back straight.
Yeah, he's been able just to set his times how he wants to set them. Everyone else is battling with one another. You can see there Bouasri on the 33 machine, just how difficult it is to find some space out there on that back straight. But certainly for Rueda, one of the top young talents coming through. We know that in the Red Bull Rookies Cup he's leading that cup as well, and here in the Junior GP Championship he's on course for the title success as well. There's very few riders that are able to do the same in both classes as well. You're looking at the likes of Pedro Acosta a few years ago, was able to be really strong in both the CEV Championship and also the Red Bull Rookies Championship, and certainly now in Junior GP it's Rueda able to do the same. And Colin Vire on the 95 really strong in the Rookies Cup, race winner this morning, but that's the best we've seen from him on a Moto 3 bike, so that just goes to show just how impressive it is from Rueda.
And when you're across both titles like that, we see Dominique Agata in Supersport Moto E, but Almanza having a look at Alonso getting the job done, as that was Farioli going wide, I think. No, it was Vire going wide and Almanza coming through. But someone like Vire now, who's established himself as a front-running rider in this class, he's already there at Red Bull Rookies. What does that do for a rider's mentality? Well,
I think the one thing for Colin Vire is has he established himself as that? He's had a good weekend here. He's been able to take a pole position. He's been able to take a race win. That's where next time out, in a couple of weeks' time at Portimao, is going to be really interesting to see if he has been able to make that step forward as well somewhere else. Because we know, obviously, in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, he's been very strong here in Jerez as well. He's been really good in the Rookies Cup as well, only 10 points behind Rueda. So now it's up to him to really show that in Portimao and for the rest of this season that he has been able to really capitalise on that. Obviously, for the Junior GP riders, one race that they're going to be looking forward to is Misano, when they're going to support the Moto 3 World Championship as well. So that puts a lot of these riders on the shop window. This is the right time to start finding your form.
Yeah, and it really is, because the title isn't done, but Rueda's got one hand and a few fingers on it, you would imagine. So now it's who can shine throughout the rest of the year. And Vire's really started to do that now, as has Salvador. Salvador up into second place then. He crashed out of second earlier on today, chasing race win, but it wasn't to be. Can he hold on this time? David Almanza in third place. Vire is up into, no, he's not, that's Alonso in fourth. Vire's pushed Bouasri out, that's for fifth place. Bouasri back to sixth. Back to seventh. Lanetta pushes him out again, and look who's back in the podium battle. What was I on about earlier on? Well, not just earlier on, but most of the time really. Angel Picares was out of contention for the podium, so I thought, and no, he's not, because he's back inside the top 8 and looking good after that long lap penalty.
Yeah, and you can see there's quite a few riders that might fall foul of the long lap penalty as well. Lanetta comes from a mile back sideways on the way into that last corner, unable to get himself up into second spot. But with 3 laps to go, this is where it gets really difficult out there for these riders. This is where it gets very tight. This is where you've got to start making your moves, and for Picares on the 18, this is where he needs to just pick off a couple of riders now in this lap.
Tell you what, there's nothing wrong with Lanetta's front end. He's pushing and shoving all over the place, and whilst this lot are tripping each other up, Eddie O'Shea is building up here. He's bringing Daniel Sharif with him as well. So the junior talent team having a great ride. Yeah, last time around it was the fastest lap of his race for Eddie O'Shea. He was also the fastest rider out on the racetrack, so that's why he's been able to close right onto this group. But he's only got 2.5 laps to try and make progress through this group. You can really surprise riders by catching them quick whenever you get in this situation. So keep an eye on the 31 with the black helmet. See if he's able to just pick off a few riders now. If he's able to come away with a top 7 finish, it's a really good result for Eddie O'Shea. Eddie O'Shea, one of the stars to keep an eye on. He didn't get any points in Catalunya. He got back into the point scoring positions, 15th in race 1 earlier today. Can he get a top 10? Look at the 31. He's on the inside of Harrison Voigt. That is for 10th place. So Eddie O'Shea building in confidence and speed and momentum, and he's really got his nose right in the mix of this. So this is the battle for second, not the race win. Sadly, Jose Antonio Ueda is 11.7 seconds up the road. Picares again on the track limit there. So Picares, if he's not careful, he'll get another track limits warning. Salvador's leading this group. This is for second and third. Alonso is third at the moment. Fourth is Almanza on the purple bike. The 33 is Boazri. Looking at the inside is Almanza, gets her into third place. Good move. Watch the 58 though, the black and yellow bike. That's Luca Lunetta. He has been exceptional in the braking area.
Yeah, and you can see there another good move from Lunetta on the 58. But Picares, 2 laps to go in the 18. He's about to come under attack on the run down in towards turn 1. The number 7 of Farioli trying to make that move. But all of these riders are going to feel that they've got a chance of being able to get onto the podium spots. As it is, it's Alonso on the 80, the 22 of Almanza that's up there in second and third position.
Eddie O'Shea's best result, we're going on about him, his best result was 9th. That was at the start of this season. That was in Estoril. He picked up 7 points there. He is now second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th place. So he's on a personal best. He's ahead of Farioli, who's just about to dive bomb. Looked like Boazri didn't get it done in the end though. So Eddie O'Shea's come from quite far back here. He's up into 7th and number 31. Can he get a podium with a lap and a half to go?
Yeah, he's got a good chance now. You can see him using the slipstream down in towards the right-hander at the end of the straight. But all these riders fighting, that's going to give O'Shea the opportunity on the 31 to pick them off. Alonso, though, doing a really good job. He's the reigning Red Bull Rookies Cup winner. We know what he can do whenever he's at the front of a group. We know that he's able to keep a cool head. This is a real test for him, though, because there's a lot of riders going to be attacking him.
Eddie O'Shea as well is quite a clean rider. He's not too aggressive. I hope I haven't just cursed him. Via looking on the inside of Lunetta. Good move. And Eddie O'Shea elbows out Almanza aside. The AGR team are watching on. So are we. Alonso, 2nd place so far. 3rd for Salvador. Via 4th. 5th for Lunetta. 6th for Eddie O'Shea. Fantastic stuff.
Keep an eye on Lunetta on the 58 into that last corner. He's been making moves there the last few laps. We're going to cut to the race leader, Jose Antonio Ueda. He's 4.4 kilometres from another race victory. But let's see what's happening in the battle for second.
Let's see what is happening. That looks like Eddie O'Shea's just elbowing his way through. Jose Antonio Ueda has got this. He is 11 seconds up the road, but ahead of this lot. This is Alonso ahead of Lunetta, ahead of Eddie O'Shea, who's up to 3rd, and Colin Via, one race one, is in the car park. He's gone out wide at turn 1. He's gone right to the back of the group. It's a disaster. Eddie O'Shea has come through from outside the top 10, and in 3 laps, he's up on the podium. What a race this is, Steve. Who's your money on for the 2nd and 3rd?
Well, what you can see from O'Shea is he's been able to keep his head down all the way through this race. He's been getting faster and faster, whereas everyone else has been battling with one another. He's been able to carry that momentum all the way through. O'Shea on the 31, he's got a real chance of being able to come away with 2nd spot, but the goal for him is hold on to that podium spot. Alonso on the 80 is going to be strong. Lunetta into the last corner in the 58, he's going to be a rider to keep an eye on. But also on Almanza on the 22, we know that he's not afraid to get the elbows out.
Lunetta through on the inside at turn 6. We've got yellow flags at turn 11. So that is going to play into the hands of the riders currently in 2nd and 3rd. Alonso and Almanza. There will be no passing under yellow flags. We'll tell you when we get there. That's why the 31 of Eddie O'Shea has got to go now. He is up into 3rd. Lunetta was almost up over the handlebars. A massive moment for Lunetta.
There is still the yellow flags out there at the last couple of corners. We're seeing that the rider's just walking away, so they're about to come into a yellow flag zone now for Gordon's crash.
Jose Antonio Ueda is not here. He's up ahead of this field. He's going to win this race. 2nd place at the moment is David Alonso. Our yellow flag still out. I can't see any. Eddie O'Shea is building through the final corner. This is Jose Antonio Ueda, a masterful race win for the number 99. But what's happening in 2nd? Let's have a look. Eddie O'Shea, did he get through? Was he punted? Where's he gone? Is he buried in the slipstream? He's been pushed back to 4th. Alonso's going to take 2nd, and it's a photo finish for 3rd. Almanza, I think, just got there. Eddie O'Shea, a fine career best 4th, 5th for David Salvador. Boazri in 6th place. Breathless action on the final lap. Jose Antonio Ueda is back to winning ways. He didn't get it in race 1, and look at what it means to the team of David Almanza. 23 thousandths of a second. It doesn't matter how big the margin is, as long as you have got the position. What a stunner in Junior GP. Jose Antonio Rueda, a 4th victory and a 7th podium in 7 races. Sorry, a 6th podium in 7 races. But an unbelievable final lap. Rueda in the end wins by 8.4 seconds. It does not tell you the whole story. An incredible fight back through the field. Unreal stuff from Eddie O'Shea outside the top 10. The Brit is back. The Brits always do well here. Scott Ogden picked up a first race win of the season last year. We have just got a notification on our screens that the podium is under investigation. I imagine Jose Antonio Rueda and David Alonso will be locked in because Alonso seemed far enough ahead. He had a couple of tenths over Almanza, so I'm not sure whether that's coming into it. But maybe Almanza on your screens, the number 22 on the FIM Network Mia Racing Team KTM, hasn't got 3rd. We're going to wait for this. Eddie O'Shea follows him in, the number 31. Fantastic ride from O'Shea. Salvador in 5th, salvaged something from race 1. Almanza's coming into Parc Ferme. The team are delighted. Listen to the noise they're making. Well, I hope they're not too premature in the celebrations. Jose Antonio Rueda comes in, a 4th win of the season, a 4th win in 5 for Rueda. He is just majestic, and a dominant win at that. Podium is still under investigation. Maybe for yellow flag infringements, who knows? We don't know why. He's just saying podium under investigation. So let's see what we can find out here. Steve English is down there amongst the melee for the Parc Ferme interviews. No doubt about the winner, Jose Antonio Rueda, nice and easy for him. And I believe Alonso will be 2nd, the Colombian rider, born in Madrid, but takes Colombian nationality. Very, very strong stuff from him after a slightly disappointing race 1 where he could only come home in 7th position. This is a replay. This is Jose Antonio Rueda's race-winning move. And from that moment on, this was a brilliant double overtake from Eddie O'Shea. It's such a neat and tidy rider, the youngster from Leicestershire. And Farioli runs out, but that shouldn't affect the podium. Oh, Almanza, big block pass from Almanza. How Eddie O'Shea actually comes back from there to take 4th place when he's already back in 5th. It's quite impressive on its own. The number 99 coming through is Jose Antonio Rueda. He took the win. Alonso, Salvador. It looks like Almanza, if it's under investigation for track limits or anything, will not be penalised. And I'm fairly sure that 3rd place looked quite clear over the line. He's been told to look at that camera, and he needs to look at another one. He can look at this one in a moment. He's got the 3rd place board in his hand, so he's obviously been, I don't know, a podium under investigation on my timing monitor, but I do not know if it's actually under investigation or if it's a glitch, or because they seem quite happy. All 3 teams there look all right, so unless there's a change in order, we'll wait and see. Jose Antonio Rueda, though, for sure has got this win. He was already 53 points clear coming into this. And he will be ahead of Alonso. He was 58, so it's at least 63 over David Alonso. Aziman, who was 2nd in this championship fight, fought back to 14th position after being taken out by Adrian Cruces, or avoiding action from Adrian Cruces. Cruces retiring after a crash at turn 9. Podium under investigation notification has just gone. And there's some celebrations down in pit lane. Are they just being confirmed that it is them in 3rd position? Or has there been a change? My timing monitor has not updated. So tense times here. David Alonso's looking slightly confused. Has he just been demoted? Not on my timing monitor anyway, but Oh, hang on a moment. Now he's got the that's Almanza with the second one, with the second position. So Almanza must have been given second position. It hasn't updated on my timing monitor. I've got nothing in the headset to tell me that it's second for Almanza, but it looks like it's second to Almanza, judging by the screens. Third for Alonso. Eddie O'Shea, unfortunately, not picking up the pieces. Or are they moving it out Parc Fermé altogether? Or is it... Why are they going with that? David Alonso's number 80 Aspar gas machine is being moved out of Parc Fermé. I'm not sure what's going on, if you can't tell already. But the conclusion to the fourth race here is a dramatic one. Steve English will be down there somewhere. And he is there with the race winner, there's no doubt about it, Jose Antonio Rueda.
Jose Antonio Rueda, drama down here in Parc Fermé, but nothing dramatic about your race. Really great performance.
Yeah, incredible weekend and race. The first race is more difficult, but in the second race, I won. I have a little bit more than others, and I pushed hard in the first laps, and I got a little bit of gap, and this incredible for me and for the championship. And P2 and P1 in this weekend, in this track, is like a track home, and it's incredible. Thank you.
Great job, Jose. And some words in Spanish?
Sí, bueno, ha sido un fin de semana increíble porque hemos hecho P2 y P1, salimos segundo también, y bueno, hacer eso aquí en el circuito que en casa da mucha motivación, y estoy muy contento por eso también. Y bueno, se lo quiero agradecer al equipo, a la familia, que están todos aquí apoyándome, y se lo quiero agradecer a ellos. Muchas gracias por todo y nos vemos en Portimao.
Congratulations, Jose.
Thank you.
Highlights from an incredible Junior GP Race 2 in the closing stages, and it seems that it's gone on beyond that as well in Parc Fermé. Race 1 winner Colin Vire got off to a blast start. He was absolutely off and running, got the lead. There was disaster further down. That was at turn 7 on the opening lap. Marcus Ruder, one of the riders who went down with Noah Detweiler. Meanwhile, Jose Antonio Rueda had now hit the front, and he was well clear of the opposition. He would ease away. We've seen him do it so many times, but the battle for second was something quite extraordinary. They battled so much that Eddie O'Shea, just out of shot in that last shot, came right into him. 4 seconds back at one point at least, and straight into the battle. It was all over the place at the front. Colin Vire, a couple of front end moments. Not easy for him in race 2 when the temperatures come up in comparison to a relatively cooler race 1. There was this enormous accident. This was Morossi going down with looked like Jacob Wilson, so a disaster for them. That was a big high side at turn 12. Unusual place to high side. David Almanza was looking for the podium and was up into second place ahead of David Salvador, looking to salvage something after his race 1 crash at turn 11 on the last lap. Luca Lanetta was making the headlines 4 in one move, the number 58 sideways on, going into second place. David Alonso wasn't having any of it, and the Colombian fought back in true style. Salvador trying to follow him through. Then Eddie O'Shea on the number 31 was up inside the podium positions and absolutely pushing on. He wanted second place. There was no doubt about the race winner, the number 99 of Jose Antonio Rueda, cruising to a 4th win of the season. David Alonso crossed the line in second ahead of Almanza, whilst Eddie O'Shea took 4th, but it seems as if Almanza would inherit second, Alonso being demoted in Parc Fermé, or so it seems. We'll find out now, because it's the podium, so they must have got the steps. They must have got the steps sorted now, because they need to know which one they're going to go on. Eddie O'Shea's on the podium. I don't believe what I'm seeing. Eddie O'Shea has picked up the podium. Almanza is second. I wondered why David Alonso's machine was being wheeled out of Parc Fermé altogether, but Eddie O'Shea is on the podium. Can you believe it? Eddie O'Shea from so far back has got the podium position on the British Talent Team Honda. Fantastic stuff. Third place, second for a very hard-fought second as well for David Almanza. David Alonso off the rostrum altogether. Jose Antonio Rueda taking the win though. So that's caught me off guard. Frank Vassai giving the podiums out. Eddie O'Shea, but he didn't expect that when he was 5 seconds adrift early on in the race. Leicestershire rider doing Great Britain proud on the rostrum. Second for David Almanza. Fantastic stuff from him. Almanza having a relatively decent season in 2022, and that has really sprung him right into action. That's his first podium of the year. This is no strange sight though. Jose Antonio Rueda, 4 wins in 5 races, clear championship leader by over 60 points. Very good job all round. Now a year of free, I think that's a free broadband and internet with your phone for Jose Antonio Rueda. But here's the Spanish national anthem nonetheless. Fantastic action. Steve, what happened down there in Parc Fermé? It seemed a bit chaotic, but we got Eddie O'Shea on the podium.
It was definitely a bit chaotic down there, and the results obviously under investigation. And down there we saw that Almanza was moved up to second, and the assumption in Parc Fermé was that it was going to be Alonso that was going to be moved down to third. Eddie O'Shea was still going to be fourth, and I think that the biggest surprise of the day for everyone was probably for the talent team to then have to rush themselves. Their garage, luckily enough, is next door to the Parc Fermé area, but they had to rush to get Eddie O'Shea down into Parc Fermé. But a really well-deserved podium, recovered very well through that race.
Fantastic recovery from Eddie O'Shea there in third. Can't take anything away from the race. Winner, Jose Antonio Rueda. 28 minutes and 47 seconds. He was 8.7 seconds ahead of David Almanza, who was confirmed in second. Eddie O'Shea third. David Alonso, Colombia, robbed of a rostrum in fourth. Fifth for David Salvador Boazri, taking sixth. Harrison Voigt for Australia was 10th ahead of the Malaysian Daniel Sharif. Colin Via only 12th after race 1 honours. Sarafuddin Aziman was down in 14th. He had to take avoiding action of Adrian Cruz's crash at turn 9. All the way down the field to Ben Richard Austin, over a minute back on the Husqvarna in 23rd, but expect big improvements from him as the season goes on. Lots of crashes in that as the track temperature came up to nearly 40 degrees. It's really warm out there now on the circuit. Some of the big names there: Adrian Cruz and RB Aditama. Odette Weiler and Marcos Ruda went down on the first lap. Championship standings. They're not updated, so don't take any notice of that, but Jose Antonio Rueda is leading it by over 60 points, and that's all you need to know. Eddie O'Shea's podium will have sprung him right up, of course, but David Almanza, who is around 10th in the championship coming into this area, is 29 points plus 20 from race 2, means he's on 49. And if you can hear in the background, we've still got a race to go. That's the Hawkers European Talent Cup. And I very much doubt that with championship leader Joel Esteban not in that we'll have a domination effect there. Eddie O'Shea, 18th, coming into this, and after a point-scoring ride at in race 1 of Jerez, he was back in the top 3 for the first time in a long time, and first time in this class. So top stuff from Eddie O'Shea, just in case you wasn't sure. So, despite confusion, there was no doubting the race winner. Jose Antonio Rueda has over 60 points to play with as the second half of the Junior GP Championship gets underway next time out at Portimao. There's still a race to come today, though. The final race, the Hawkers European Talent Cup, is up next. Do not go anywhere.